Really was finally able to get over the hump and go on the road and get us a good win. And then a lot of individual effort, a lot of good performances in that game. You look at what Deontay did and just rushed for 341 yards. Then our offensive line did a really outstanding job of just blocking for him. You know, defensively, second quarter played very well, was able to get some key stops there at the end. And you know, when I look at that game and I kind of sum it up, and there's one play in that game that, you know, where you could go back to, and you always go back to plays. And the play that I go back to is the where we fumble the ball there on the goal line, and the guy takes off with the football, and you see Duvernay, he's standing like on the 5-yard line, and he takes off. And, you know, and the guy, you think about him, he's got to run. The defensive back has 100 yards, but Duvernay's got to come across the field, and he runs him down, and he gets him out of bounds on the 2-yard line. But, you know, our team is sitting there, and everybody on the team thought that he would catch him. And I just think that was a turning point because all our players were standing there, and that swing could have been a swing where we could not have recovered from. And they watched his effort. Then everybody on the sideline kind of got juiced just looking at his effort go and try to run the guy down to try to, you know, just get the defense back out on the field. And then we were able to go back and capitalize, get to 10 points, and go back in there at halftime. And when that could have collapsed where we could have, you know, where we don't recover from that, where the offense goes back out, you know, they could have been a 3-and-out and then gave them the ball back, where they could have taken the ball and then driven the ball on us and got another score. But and I said it, and I told our team, I said that was probably the turning point because everybody on the sidelines looking at him, and everybody on the sideline thought that he would go get him. You know, he's like he's going to go catch him. And then they look at his effort. Then it's like, you know what? Why don't we all play like that? And it was kind of just a shot in the arm for us. And I said that, and I told him, and I said that was the play right there that helped us win this football game. But, you know, we got us a tough opponent coming in this week with West Virginia. And the thing they do is they're just very balanced. You look at them on defense, they're playing very well on defense with the 3-3-5, a lot of pressure. And then offensively, they don't turn the football over. The quarterback, Howard's doing a really good job of just managing the offense, does a great job of run and pass. We know our hands are going to be where we got to go play, and it's going to be it's going to have to take the whole team. You know, even in the kicking, they do a great job of putting pressure on the punter. So we're going to have to play very well in all three phases. And we're going to have a really good week of practice and just get ready to go play.
Coach, now that you guys have tasted success, how do you keep them from just expecting that it's going to happen without everything necessary that goes into it?
You know, the good thing about it, Roger, is you got a good opponent coming in. So we're back at home, and we play very well at home. And I just think our kids, they won 2 in a row now. So I think that now they're just looking to just get ready for the next one. And I just think that winning those 2 has really been a good confidence builder for them. So now they feel like, hey, let's go get the next one. Let's go work hard and just not, you know, take these 2 for granted where we know that we still got a lot of work to get done.
Coach, from the outside, it seems pretty obvious the momentum that's getting built in the program. What does it feel like on the inside right now?
Well, just to see us, Dennis, get those 2 wins, you know, the kids are getting a lot of confidence. And, you know, and I know that, you know, defensively we played better. And I said that. I said it was good that we ended the game against Baylor out on the field because it gave us some confidence. And then to go end the game against Texas Tech at their place with a really outstanding quarterback in Mahomes, give them some more confidence. But our offense has been playing with a lot of confidence, and now to just see both phases, and even in the kicking game, see all 3 phases beginning to play with some confidence.
Charlie, wanted to ask about Malik. You know, no player wants to sit down for anything, but how has he been with you and with the guys the last 2 weeks? And clearly something has clicked, it appears.
You know, Malik's a special player, and the thing about it, a lot of times, you're right, Brian, when you're a really good player and then someone sit you down, they talk to you and just tell you, you know, you're not playing at the level you should be playing at, a lot of guys kind of take it personal and they go the other way, whereas with him, he kind of sat back and him and Coach BJ sat down and they watched the tape, and it was very obvious that he wasn't. But but the thing about him is that he could take criticism, and he's taking it right now, and he's ran with it, and he's playing you know, the last 2 games he's really come on for us. You know, I said to him in the game there on Saturday, I said, now you're looking like the guy you should be looking like. the one big sack. We run a game, and he runs a game inside a pick game, and then he gets Mahomes, probably 10 yards down the field on their sideline. But he played very well, and that's the thing about him, because all the guys expect him to play well, and that's what he's showing these last 2 weeks.
Coach, ever since you've taken over this defense, it's definitely been noticeable, especially the aggressiveness that's been out there. When I look at the numbers, you've had 19 sacks over the last 4 games. You've had 12 turnovers over the last 5 and 36 tackles for loss. So what specifically are you doing, and what have you done to make this defense be a little bit more aggressive?
You know what? We have some really good coaches. It's not me at all. And I look at Vance, and I look at our secondary. Early we weren't playing well. He's came in, he's got his hands on it. We're playing a lot better now. We're not giving up the home runs. Guys are, keeping everything in front of them, and we're making them complete balls. And we're playing a lot more aggressive, because we're playing a lot more man coverage. And even in zone coverage, we're playing a lot of matchup zone, where when they come in your zone, you just match up and take them. But it's just, with the pressure, we're coming more on second down. We're coming third down for sure. You just got to get the ball out of the quarterback hands. You can't let them sit there and just hold the ball and let routes develop. You put pressure on them. And we were able to do that against Mahomes, where we got him running around. And even with the sack that 23 missed on the goal line, I just told him, just be aggressive, go attack him, don't let him hold it. And he's not going to fake you out. He can't outrun you. So just force him in one direction, and let's get him down. But we still got a lot of ways, long ways to go. We still can improve a lot. Our tackling still need to improve, and we just got to make sure that we can get off the field on third down.
Charlie, I guess a lot of people would be surprised to hear that you've won 4 games in a row against top 12 teams going back to last year. Is this kind of a team that plays up to that level of competition, and do you get their attention more when they play a team like West Virginia is going to be a top-rated team this week?
I just think that the guys, they see it, and they know where these teams are ranked at, but the good thing about it, Mike, we're at home, and they expect to play well at home. They know they're going to play well at home. We have the crowd behind us. It's going to be a lot of energy in the crowd, a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd. I know it's going to be 11 o'clock in the morning, but they're still going to come out. Heck, Texas Tech, it was 11, and it was a great crowd there, so I know we're going to have one here. But it's not our players know where these teams are ranked, and they know how well they need to go play to go win the football game.
Far right, Chip. Charlie, just wondering if you heard all the conversation about the decision to go with the 18-wheeler package on 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1. I guess Tim Brando said this is the kind of decision that can get a coach fired. I mean, now that you've had a chance to look back on it, I mean, your thoughts on taking Deontay off after he ran for 8 yards on 1st and 2nd down?
Well, you know what, Chip, we've been very successful in that package. I have a lot of confidence in Sterling. We'll continue to run that package. We go out here against Notre Dame with an 18-wheeler package. We score a touchdown and win the game. So we will always have that package. And we've had some success in it, and we'll continue to be successful in it. And they do a great job on offense. They know exactly what they want to do, and you score a touchdown there. If we don't get a block, we get a call where it comes back, then we wouldn't be talking about it.
Charlie, Joe Wickline comes back. How big a distraction was that lawsuit when he was here, and why do you feel like it didn't work with Joe here?
Well, no, Joe's an outstanding coach, and Joe and I we go back as graduate assistant back during the days. But the lawsuit, it wasn't a big distraction for me. It was more for him, and he's just trying to get everything worked out, and it can pull you. But he's an outstanding coach. He's done a really good job. Look where they are right now, and how well his offensive line is playing for him.
Coach, back on that 3rd and 4th down play Chip was talking about, did you ever say, hold on there, Buckaroo, let's get number 33 in? Or?
No, I didn't say Buckaroo, no. But you know what, we had the play was set up for us to go get the first down, and you're right, 33's on the sideline, but we've been successful. Like I said, we've had success in that package, and with Tyrone, he can go get a yard. He can just go run, drop his pads, and go run over people.
Coach, we were talking about defense, how much y'all have improved. As they get older into the year goes on, they don't get as anxious to make plays. They know more. That's part of the deal too, and it coach that they're not trying to do everything at one time.
Well, they begin to develop, Steve, and they see when you had enough bad to happen to you, and you see balls that are thrown over your head just because you're not in position to make plays, or you're just running out of, you're not hearing the right checks, then those things will happen to you. And so once they get settled down, and plus what we've done on defense, and where Vance have really did a good job with the secondary, it's just that, it's very simple. We're simplified with the coverages, and it's, hey, either we're going to go get them or we're going to back away and just play some zone with them. Hey, just, one of the two things. And so they're seeing the routes develop in front of them, and they're keeping everything in front of them, and we're just not we're not giving up the home runs.
Charlie, I don't think it's using the 18-wheeler. I think it's more, the question is when you use it. A point can be made that you and Sterling were the only two people in the stadium who stopped Deontay by not playing him.
Well, he got 340 before we got to him to that point, okay? So we didn't stop him. He was, and the thing you got to look at, and one thing with Deontay, he's not one of those guys that are in the records. He didn't even know how many yards he had, until I said something to him after the game. So it's and you look at our offense. We're going to do a good job on offense. We're going to move the ball, and people are going to have to stop us. But that package is a solid package for us.
Coach, you and the players always talk about executing and locking in. Why do you think they've been doing such a much better job at that now?
You know what I did on this past weekend, John, because the game was at 11. So what we did was we got there an hour earlier, and then I put them to bed. I just said, you guys are going to bed at 9 o'clock. And I know some of you, it's kind of unusual for you, but you should be able to get this rest because during the week you're up all the time anyway. And we were able to just get them focused and locked in. And then that morning I didn't get them up as early as I've been. And then, I do my walk, so they have to get the walk in. And then we kind of ate breakfast and came back, did our walkthrough, and then let them go upstairs and change. But just always trying to find different ways to just change the routine. And even with just locking in, they understand their opponents now because you look at it, it was last week it was Baylor, this week it was Texas Tech, and the defense knew they had to go shut down the offense in order for us to go win, and our offense knew they had to go score some points because all it turned into a shootout. And so now you have West Virginia come in, who's a really solid football team. It plays really good on defense and offense, and so now we'll see just how locked in we can be and how they go out to practice. It all starts at practice. And that's why I made the statement about Deontay. Deontay works hard at practice. That's why it does not surprise me when he gets into a game and plays as well as he does.
Charlie, when you have a true freshman starting quarterback, you're supposed to have struggles, you're supposed to have lumps. Why do you think Shane has managed to stay pretty confident throughout this run, and what do you like about the way he's been operating?
The thing that Sterling has done with Shane is he just built an offense where it's not putting everything on him. And you look at our run game, our offensive line has done a great job of blocking people, so we've been able to run the football. And so that takes a lot of pressure off because now people want to load the box and try to stop the run. He's good enough where he can throw the ball up over your head, and he throws a great deep ball. But he's one that is also that he's really focused and he locks in. And I think nothing really bothers him because he just knows that he has enough around him. If you look at outside at wide receiver, he get the ball out of his hand. He get the ball in one of those guys' hand. They can make people miss. So it's it's an offense that really has a lot of success because there's a lot of people that are playing well.
Coach, a lot has been said about Foreman's performance thus far, but what has the offensive line done to really help his efforts?
It's when you look at that line, and it's they walk into a game wanting to be physical, and they walk into a game wanting to run the football. Because you look at what Connor is doing at the tackle. You have Big Perk there. McMillan and Shackelford has done very well inside at the center position with Bahi being there also, and then you look outside with Tristan and Hodges. But even if one of those guys are down, we have other guys that are coming in and is playing well. But the offensive line is where it all starts at. If you can't win up front, you have no chance. And they've been able to win up front and just knock people off the football.
Back right, Alex.
Charlie, I know with Colin Johnson's size and his physical attributes, ever since he stepped on campus, everybody's been waiting for him to have that breakout game, which he finally had. What clicked for him on Saturday?
You know, he just went up and made some, two unbelievable catches and got his foot down, and Shane laid it out there to him. And him and Shane are really close. They're best of friends. Those two guys, they're always together. But we've been waiting on that game, and he's been in him, and it's just good to see it happen on the day that it happened for him to make the catches that he did.
Over here on the left, Jeff. Charlie, there's been a lot of talk the last couple of years about the inability to build on victories and that sort of thing. Well, you beat Baylor, you go on the road, you get that. Are you starting to see the things coming into place with this team where it can build on, 2 victories like that?
Well, this is going to be a key one for us this week, Chuck. And the good thing, like I said, we're at home, and we need to build on it. You got 2, so now it's for us. It's a 1-game season, so that's the only way we're looking at it. Hey, let's get ready for West Virginia, and then the other ones will take care of itself. And we need to go out this week and have us a really good week of practice. But we know this. West Virginia, they're going to come with a lot of pressure on defense, and offensively, they don't beat themselves. They're going to let their defense go out there and go play and try to get the turnovers and get a short field, and that's what we can't allow to happen.
Charlie, a win Saturday would make y'all bowl eligible, and that obviously didn't happen last year. How much would that mean to this team, and how much emphasis is placed on that as one of the goals?
You know what, Bob, I haven't even said anything about it. Even the guys haven't, because what they're looking at is just the game, and they just want to, continue to just, let's just get them one at a time. But it will be special for our seniors because last year they didn't go to a bowl game, and it'd be good to get bowl eligible early, and you still have 2 to go.
Stay in the front, Roger.
Charlie, there's a lot of big, strong, fast backs out there. Deontay's separated himself. What do you see in him that makes him special? Because he's on pace to have a pretty unbelievable year.
Roger, he's so big, he's so physical, and he's physical at the point of attack. He protects his body. And what people don't realize on him is his breakaway speed. I mean, you look at Saturday, there's DBs with angles, and they can't go get him. And even I saw that out here because he'll break away from us, and our guys think they're fast, and they can't go catch him. And if he's not the fastest on the team, he's top 3. But it's just been fun to watch it's a 1-yard run, it's a 2-yard run, and all of a sudden he'll bust it for 30, he'll bust it for 40, and then. I mean, you look at him, and you don't, like with his stats, he don't ever say how many yards I got. Even when he got the 1,000 here, he just said, hey, Coach, when I get the 1,000, they're going to recognize me. And I said, yeah, when you get the 1,000, they'll recognize you. So then, he got his 1,000 yards, and he was just happy to get the 1,000.
Is there a sense of maybe feeling like y'all are getting a monkey off your back, things going your way this year that probably wouldn't have gone your way last year?
Well, what's happening, Claire, is that you go beat Baylor, then you go on the road in a tough environment and win. But we've been in those games where we didn't win them, and so we just had to make sure that we don't get complacent and start feeling full of ourselves and feeling good about ourselves, and just continue to work, because that's what it comes down to. There's going to be obstacles, there's going to be mistakes, but we still have to learn how to overcome them, and you overcome them by continuing to work hard.
Charlie, I know punter is one of those positions that gets overlooked often, but with Michael Dixon, he's in the midst of maybe the best season for a punter here ever. Not just as a defensive play caller, but also for Sterling and as a staff. When you've got a guy who can flip the field, how much does that impact what you do and how you approach it game plan wise?
It's really big because he can flip the field, and you just have to be careful once you get that ball in the middle, because you don't want to just bang it out of the end zone. So it's where we go to a lot of pooch so he can, get him pinned down in there. But he's certainly a weapon for us, and he's done a great job. I thought twice there Saturday he'd almost outkicked the coverage when he had, he hanged the 2 of them up there. But he's, he just gets stronger. And I tell him all the time, I said, you don't even know how strong your leg is. I don't know how far you can kick the ball, but he's a big-time weapon for us.
Charlie, the only time we heard Chris Boyd's name last year was when he tweeted from the locker room. And his teammates have told us for 2 years how crazy and wild and intense he is. Was it a matter of kind of channeling that to get him to be productive? And is he your best cornerback right now?
right now Chris is playing really good football, and the thing about him is, it's like all guys. They need to grow up. They need to mature, and once that happens for them, and then they start playing a little, then they start playing a lot, then they start really focusing and locking in, and that's what he's done a good job. He's one of those guys now. He'll make a mistake. He'll give up a play, but it doesn't bother him. He's like, I'm all right, coach. I'll be okay. But he can forget. Like sometimes you can always tell a defensive back you got to forget the last play. He can very easily forget the last play, but I think he probably need to remember some of them. But he's a guy though that is really playing very well for us.
Coach, one of the things that guys on the team have said that's helped over the past few games has been the practices. They've talked about how competitive those practices are. Do you have a system now where essentially guys have to prove themselves in practice in order to start? Because it seems like you're willing to rotate guys in every week if they're not excelling.
Well, what happens is you want to reward guys, and you want to reward them for their hard work. So if they practice hard, then I tell them, you're going to play, and I tell the coach he's going to play. Because, you don't ever want guys to get comfortable, but you don't have that now. Because if you look at our wide receiver position, all those guys, they all play like Collins making a move. Doran Leonard's still sitting there. John Bird is still sitting there. Amani, you still have all those guys, like Hurd drops at one, but still, though, he comes back in the game and, he gets his confidence back. But even in offensive line, you can move guys. Defenses where you're rotating, especially up front on the defensive front, because we've got to get pressure, so you had to rotate guys. But, they're going to be rewarded. If they go out and practice hard, then I tell our coaches they should play. And then the players expect to play, which is really good, because now they're looking forward to something.
Over here on the left, Kurt.
Charlie, with 3 wins in the last 4 games, are you ready to say that this team has turned the corner, or are you still a little bit reluctant to say that?
Well, Kurt, you always want to make sure that the guys just, you just continue to grow, and you continue to go play. Because sometimes when you say, hey, we're good right now, we don't need any more, some of them may take that as you really mean that. No, I don't mean that, guys. We got to go get ready for the next one. But it's good that the opponents that we're playing, I think that's what's really helping us is who we're playing right now. And so now they're beginning to focus and lock in, and they're knowing that how important those games are. This game that we just won out there on the road, we knew the environment was going to be tough. We knew the challenge was going to be there for, especially on the defensive side, where we knew we had to go, stop them. But it was just good to see how just mentally focused they were and how they were just locked in and ready to go play that game.
Stay over here, Cedric.
Charlie, when West Virginia being tucked away in the Northeast, do you think they're kind of overlooked because they're not down here with everybody else?
Well, it's just that they're so far away you don't hear much about them. But you look at it, they're a really solid football team. Their offensive line is 3 seniors in that offensive line with a junior, a quarterback that played a lot last year. Running backs that rotate in, and there's 8 seniors on defense. So they're overlooked because of where they sit, because you really don't get a chance to see them until they play another opponent or until you start breaking them down.
Time for 2 last ones. Chip on the right.
Charlie, can you talk about John Bonney and what you've seen from him? He talked about he knew he could do it physically. It was just mentally, and he picked up some confidence against Baylor. Now you're starting to see it continue.
Yeah, Bonnie, he has all the physical tools that you need, and it was just more just mentally for him, and he's one of those young men that he studies the game hard. But when he gets to the game, it's almost like he locks up, and you say, listen, you can't lock up. You got to go play, and just go play and let it happen for you. He made a big play there in the end zone where they lobbed one right before half, and he was able to knock that ball out there and prevent the score. But he's doing really well for us, and he's just one of those guys that he will continue to get better. He has the size that you're looking for. He has the speed. It's just with him, hey, don't be afraid to take chances. Don't be afraid to just go lock down guys and play within yourself.
Last one in the middle, Danny. Charlie, you guys threw a lot of defensive backs out there on Saturday. When you were watching film, were there any that stood out to you aside from maybe a Chris Boyd?
Well, Boyd played well, and I tell you what, Houghton Hill had a really good game for us. and even with Bonnie playing well. But we had to play a lot just because of what they were giving us, and we knew they were going to throw the ball around. So what, the third series of the game, we put all new defensive backs in and let those guys go play, because I knew it was going to be a long game. We was going to have to chase receivers all day long. So just wanted to make sure we didn't turn anybody loose, because their deal and his whole Mahomes, his whole thing is to make sure he can get outside, flush the pocket, and the guys come out of coverage, and you see him just let one go. He'll let 2 or 3 of them go. The one throw he made on our sideline was an unbelievable throw when we had him pinned down there on the goal line, and he let that one go, and the guy put his foot down like right there in front of us. But with our defensive backs, they know if they just continue to work, they're going to get a chance. All right, thank you.